Welcome to the Fit Biz Accelerator, your ultimate guide to launching, growing, and scaling a thriving online fitness business. I'm your host, Tobias Young. And whether you're just starting out or looking to take your business to the next level, this podcast is packed with actionable tips, real-world strategies, and the insights you need to crush your business goals and build the business of your dreams. Now that you're here, let's dive in. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Fit Biz Accelerator podcast. And this is the show where we actually help fit pros and coaches grow smarter, lead better, and build a business and life that they actually enjoy. And today's episode is going to be a little bit different, but in the best possible way. Because let's be real, a lot of coaches, they talk about mindset. A lot of entrepreneurs talk about mindset. A lot of people post cute little quotes about mindset, but very few people actually teach you how to build one. So today's guest is here to be able to change that. Aaron has actually spent 30 years building businesses while quietly battling anxiety behind the scenes. And then he discovered something powerful, that the mind can actually be trained and not just managed. And that changed everything. He's the author of How to Live a Grateful Life in an Effed Up World. And now he helps people train their brain for more peace, more clarity, and presence through online cohorts and mindful meditation. And what I love about this conversation is that it connects so naturally with the fitness world, because fitness coaches already understand that the body can be transformed through reps and discipline and consistency and intention. But what if the same thing is true for the mind? What if meditation isn't just some like woo-woo thing that people talk about on a mountaintop? What if if there's actually brain training? What if it helps you perform better and sell better and lead better and feel better while building your business? That's exactly what we're going to discuss today. And Aaron, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, Tobias, thank you. That is a great introduction. I'm stealing all of that. I love that. Dynamite. I want everyone to introduce me that way. That's just
thank you, man.
Great. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
and I'd love to start right here, right? You've spent decades building businesses while quietly carrying anxiety in the background.
Yeah.
And from the outside, I'm sure a lot of people probably thought, things look fine and maybe even successful, but internally, it was a different story. Can you take us back to that season of life and talk about what was really going on behind the curtain at that time?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think that's, at the time it occurred like normal. And in the hustle culture that we live in, that's sort of a badge of honor to be. I'm so busy. I'm so stressed out. I'm so anxious. Don't talk to me. I'm whooped at the end of all that kind of nonsense is really common. So it didn't occur to me like any sort of problem. Plus, originally from New York, and I'm Jewish, and New York Jews have a particular genetic makeup where worry and anxiety is just part of who we are. I don't think it's particular Jews. It's an East Coast thing. But there was the family crest that we had in my family called "Things are never so bad, they can't get worse." Always waiting for the other shoe to drop. And that's just sort of the air that I breathed for a lot of years. So I was building businesses and it seemed normal until it didn't. And then it was like, oh, wait a minute, maybe I don't have to live this way. And that was really the thing that changed everything. It was like, oh, what if I didn't have to live this way? How would I like to live? What could I do about this? And that's what got me, down this road of mindfulness and meditation.
Nice. Yeah, I love that. And for all you East Coasters out there that feel stress and anxiety, come on out here to Cali and have a little sunshine in your life.
I'll tell you what, wherever you go, there you are. Until you change how you are, it doesn't matter where you are, right? Because actually it's funny that you say that about Cali, because that's really where I had my sort of epiphany. Was I was in Napa with my wife at a retreat. And it was this beautiful retreat and everything's sunny and it's gorgeous. And I'm with my best friend in the world. My wife married 28 years and I don't have anyone I like being with more than her. I got 2 grown kids, relatively grown. I mean, 19 and 23, they can take care of that. We can go away for a week. When you got little kids, you're like, please God, let me get out of the house. And they're healthy and they still speak to us. So, I mean, things are good and business is good. I'm a 6-figure real estate agent every year for 13 years. I'm always doing well, but I was really nervous and really anxious. And in that moment, it struck me. So in California, this East Coaster was like, wait a minute, this is an inappropriate response to these circumstances.
Yep. Gotcha. And so many other entrepreneurs and trainers and coaches and high performance in general, I would say, they normalize stress and pressure and
Yes.
internal chaos, and they almost wear it like a badge of honor.
Yeah.
So why do you
Not
think
only
so many
that,
people confuse that
yeah,
with?
because they not only wear it like a badge of honor, Tobias, but the thing I'm just discovering and talking to people is we really think that it's what is the source of our results. It's what drives us. People are really afraid if I lose that edge, if I really become peaceful and satisfied in the moment, then I won't have the edge I need to perform. And so it's guarded. There's I need that. It's not just I'm busier than you, like that, like a competition. But if I gave up the drive to for more, I would just stop performing. That's a real fear for people.
Yeah, I think it is too. And you say something also very powerful. It's that the mind can be trained, not just managed. So I'd love
That's
for
it.
you to unpack that because I think a lot of people listening have heard things like be more positive, change your mindset, think better thoughts, don't be stressed. But that advice is kind of useless if nobody shows you how. So what do you mean when you say the mind can be trained?
Yeah, well, okay, good. So there's two different metaphors that I would use here. One example, and then a metaphor to show you what I mean. You know, if you were, first of all, for the people listening that really have to get their head around meditation as a training device, because it doesn't live like that. It definitely lives like woo woo hippie. That's that's soft, right? We don't do that here. We 4 a.m. ice baths, motherfucker. We're going to get this done. Hard, edgy. Like yeah, right. That's how it gets done around here. So no, in the 60s, if you saw someone running, you would think they were being chased because there was no frame for running as an access to cardiovascular health. And in the 70s or 80s, if you saw people pumping iron, you would think, if you're my age, you think they wanted to look like Charles Atlas, the guy in the back of the comic books, or later Arnold Schwarzenegger. There was no frame for resistance training as access for everybody's health and well-being. Same thing with yoga hippie guru. Now there's a yoga studio in your gym. There's a yoga, they offer yoga. Everyone does yoga, right? It's not flexibility. So you got to change the frame for meditation from hippie guru to, no, this is brain training. And this is neuroscience, backs this up. This is not me saying it, and you have to believe me. We could quote Harvard, clinics, Stanford, 70 years of fMRIs with brain scans of what meditation does for the brain. And it literally grows the prefrontal cortex, your rational reasoning portion, and it thins or reduces the activity in the amygdala, fight, flight, or freeze mechanism. So you become more responsive and less reactive. You can respond to chaos. You can respond to breakdowns, not react. And your brain is just like a dancer or someone trains martial arts. Someone trains martial arts. When they see something coming, their body is trained to respond to that in a particular way. They have agency over their body and can do things with it that if you didn't train yourself to do, you couldn't do it. So this is one of those what the Navy SEALs and the Buddhists both say is you don't rise to the occasion, you sink to the level of your preparation.
Gotcha.
And anyone who trains in any kind of physical activity knows that to be the case. You are always going to, in chaos, in high stress situations, you're going to sink. That's the way the brain works. So what have you done to prepare your brain?
Was there a specific moment or a practice or some kind of realization that made you go, whoa, this actually works?
Yeah, well, I was in the process of getting certified as a mindfulness instructor. And because I thought it'd be great to train my team. I'm a real estate broker and thought it'd be great to train my team in it, just for what you said. Everyone, every stage, every conference, every blah, blah, blah talks about mindset. And none of them really say, here's the recipe. I was like, oh, I could do that. And I was driving. I was about halfway through my training, maybe 3/4 of the way through my training. And I noticed that the Jaws music had stopped. It usually accompanies me through life, that had accompanied me for 60 years through life. It was like, where'd that go? What happened to that? And I realized that I was no longer permanently worried. It was like right before we got on the call, Tobias, you asked me how I'm doing, and I shared that thing I have a call at 5:00 that I'm not looking forward to. That's like that experience now stands out. Like, oh, that's different. That was just the way I lived, just dreading the next moment, just sort of like there's nothing that's going to happen that's going to be good news. And so that moment sitting at that stop sign when I noticed that had all gone, I thought, okay, this really works. I really can train my brain, and it is way simpler people make it out to be.
Nice. And That's gold too. And just as being able to be in the moment and be able to switch thoughts. And we'll get into that too. But one of the reasons that I knew this would be such a strong conversation for my audience is because fitness professionals already understand physical transformation. They know the body changes with training. They know habit change outcomes, right? They know you can't get abs from reading a quote and hoping for the best. You said that this makes fitness coaches a really interesting audience because they already understand that the body can be shaped and the mind can be too. Can you talk about the connection?
Yeah, well, there's the other thing they know, Tobias, and I know this because I've had a physical trainer, my coach, when I got some privates with her, a good friend, and she was just giving me some privates, and she asked me to notice when your brain tells you you're done, when you feel like you're done, you can't do anymore, just notice if that's your brain talking to you or that's your body telling you. And that messed me up. That was like heavy duty because I could always get more reps if I just listened to my body.
Yeah.
My brain quits way before my body quits.
Yeah, that's so true.
So your audience, this audience, those people listening know it from the coaching end, that if you can get your clients to detach from what they're talking to themselves about to just listen. There's that scene in, Remember the Titans?
Yeah, where he's on top of the back of the guy
Yes.
and he's blindfolded.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Yep.
Yes. His body, if you can keep your mind right, your body can get things done that you don't think it can do. So you already know it from that end. You know it empirically. You have the experience. Everyone listening has the experience of working with people that your job is to get them out of their head. Get out of your head, man. Get into where else are you going to go but in your body? Those are the only two choices you got.
Yeah.
So there's that. Okay. And then your question was, how do you train go back to the question.
I was just talking, asking if you can talk about the connection on that, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's good. I think we kind of
one of the connections.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's the connection, is that your brain is designed to have you survive. It's to have you be around tomorrow. It's to predict the future, assess threats, keep you safe, to have you survive, not thrive.
Yeah.
It's not designed to have you thrive, right? It's designed, if the bush rustles, you see the bush, you assume it's a tiger, you run. And the human beings that were there when that happened and ran, reproduced, and the ones who didn't
got eaten.
Sometimes didn't. Sometimes they got the lunch that came through. It wasn't a tiger, but it's safer to assume it's a tiger.
Yeah.
So everything shows up like a threat.
Yeah. And
under stress, your brain is going to protect you unless you train it. And you can train it. You absolutely can train it. Absolutely can, through reps, mindful reps. You can get it. So meditation for me. And when I teach people to meditate, it's like going to the gym. I use the metaphor going to the gym. That nobody goes to, very few people, some people are Olympic lifters or whatever, go to the gym to get really good at lifting round iron circles. But for the most part, that's not the goal of going to the gym, not to get really proficient at lifting round iron circles. The goal is to be able to lift your grandkid when you're 80 or whatever your goal is. So the purpose of meditation is not to get good at meditation. The purpose of meditation is to be able to live a mindful life, be able to be present. And here's the training. This is the rep. This is the lifting of the barbell, or whatever rep you want to call it. The rep is this. And you can do lots of different meditations, lots of different styles, lots of different things you could do. Okay. But we're just going to use breath as an example. So you breathe in, you watch your breath, you just notice the sensations of breathing. This is what it feels like to breathe. This is what the air feels like on my nose. This is what my ass feels like in the chair. This is what my feet feel like on the floor. This is my breath. I'm just watching my breath. And then maybe I'll be able to sense it as it goes out. But within a breath, my mind is making a list, or it's finishing an argument I just had with my wife, or it's distracted in some way. Am I doing it right? Whatever. It comes up with a thought.
Yeah.
Rep is noticing and then coming back to the breath. That's it. It's not to get your mind empty. People think meditation is about bliss and an empty mind. And no, that's not the point. That's not what's happening. That's not meditation. I don't know what that is. The Dalai Lama doesn't have that. No one has that. That's not, you have a human mind, you get distracted. And your job is to notice the distraction without judgment. And then come back to the breath. So the metaphor I use for this, and it's really useful, is ever train a puppy?
Dude, yeah, I had to train my lab. He was a crazy boy.
Great. So you put your puppy in a box. You want to crate train your puppy. You put your puppy in the box. And then its job is to get out of the box.
Yeah.
That's what its job is. And then your job is to catch it when it comes out of the box and put it back in the box. You can't train it if it doesn't get out of the box. If it doesn't get out of the box, there's no training happening. You got to wait till it comes out of the box, and then you put it back in the box, and you're great with it. It's a puppy. It's a cute little puppy. You're like, good little dog. And you encourage it, and you put it back in the box, and you're friendly with it, and then it goes out of the box, and you put it back in the box. And eventually, you wind up with a trained dog. You wind up with your best friend. You wind up with something else, lay at your feet and fetch and do the way you train anything, right? And most people have a feral dog in their squirrel in their head. They just have a thing that just runs the show, an untrained dog. No one thinks their brain is their best friend.
Yeah, that's good.
Because you haven't trained your brain. And the way you train your brain, the box is you breathe and then it wanders and you pick your attention up and you put it back on the breath.
That's interesting.
And then the mind wanders and then you pick it up and you put it back on the breath. And then you begin to notice after a while, there's a me doing this. There's a me that's bigger than the thought and it's bigger than the breath. I'm the observer of my mind. You become not your thoughts, which means you're working out and your mind begins to go, okay, you're done. Oh, wait, that is not me. That's the voice. That's the narrator. That's the thought. Oh, I can put that back in the box and do 2 more reps.
Yeah, that's good.
That's what you're doing. That's meditation.
Yeah, that's so good. And as far as for fitness coaches, like how does training the brain show up for a fitness coach in their content and their client conversations and handling rejection and sales, consistency, and not spiraling every time somebody like ghosts them in the DMs? Because let's be honest, that one hits home for a lot of coaches too.
Sure. Well, that's, first of all, that's not specific to fitness coaches. That's sales in general. You know, I mean, sales in general is one big game of no until it's a yes. Okay. So there's nothing particular about, I mean, there are particular things about fitness coaches, but that's not one of them. You know, being rejected or ghosted or, you know, or people saying this is too hard. I don't want this. I thought I wanted it. I don't want, thank you very much. I got everything I wanted. I appreciate it. Even though, you know, they're just now, they've hit the wall that they paid you to get them through.
Yeah.
And now they're like, oh, no. I didn't really mean that. There's this great scene in Young Frankenstein. Gene Wilder tells them, no matter what happens, don't let me out of this room.
Movie.
Oh my God. I won't do the metaphor. If anyone's watching, they'll know what it is, but I don't need to get into it. Anyway, so with salespeople in general, and this is why my team increased their sales by 160%, and why it's really common when I work with salespeople for them to double their sales and have an easier life, because they can now listen to what the customer is saying without needing to respond, without needing to react. They can actually hear what's being said without it being personal. They're present. They're with them. You know, sales are made by people they know, like, and trust, right? Everyone knows that. People buy from people like and trust. Well, if I don't need you to do anything, Tobias, and I'm just here completely of service, which is something we give lip service to, but we haven't trained our brain to be here really of service because everything's a threat. You're saying no becomes a threat in a mindless interaction. I became someone who needs you to say yes and sign on the line that is dotted, as they say. If I don't really need anything, if I'm managing my nervous system and I am regulated and I am just here to be of service, because I promise you, no coach got into the business because they thought, man, that is the easiest way to make a dime. No one gets into sales because that's the easiest way to make money. You get into sales because you think you have something to contribute that would contribute to other people that maybe they'd be willing to pay for, but it's the contribution that you want to have your focus on. But when you have agency of your attention, when you've trained your brain, you can ground it in the offer you're making. And in that offer, they have room to say yes. They have room to say no. You're there. You got their back because that's who you really are anyway, Tobias. You really are a champion for them. You're their fitness. You want them to have a great life and you can hear what they're saying. And as soon as they have room to say no, you know what they have room to say? Yes. Say yes. If they don't have any room to say no, they can't say yes. So it's super important that salespeople realize that being present builds trust. It regulates the client, because the client is so rarely heard. They're always being sold to, pitched. And so I think anyone who's trying to sell their service is guaranteed to sell more when they are regulated, when they're not reactive. Do you have commission breath? Is that a fitness?
What is it?
Commission breath?
Commission breath. I haven't heard of that term.
Okay. I need this. It's in real estate.
Okay.
I need the sale. I need you to say yes.
Yeah. Usually when that happens, you put off just like a radiance and people can feel it. And obviously, when you take yourself out of the equation and you say, hey, I don't care, I just want to guide this person to the best decision, that's usually when they feel like, oh man, it's a safe place and they can make a decision. So,
and this is all, and that's all the, and nothing I just said and nothing you just said is like something people haven't heard on a stage a million times, right? Except, how do you get there? Well, this is how you get there. You train your brain to have some ability to detach from the reaction, from the emotion, from from all the conclusions. If they don't sign, then don't make my quota, or if they don't sign, I don't get the bonus or whatever. All that stuff has nothing to do with them. So let's not put that in their space, because it has nothing to do with them. And it has nothing to do with what you really want.
Yeah. And for the trainers and the coaches, the fitness coaches, and it could be other people in general, but those that are building a business, how can they still stay driven and hungry without becoming consumed by stress and urgency and all that constant mental noise?
Yeah, it's good. So I look at it this way when I train people: that anxiety, that stress, that fear, which is that hunger there's one thing to be driven away from a terrible outcome. I need this to avoid that. I'm scared. That stress is sort of an avoidance, right? Like I don't want to be a failure. And that's what's driving me. Okay. And look, there's plenty of people who have that and get to a certain level of success. And so maybe even some get super successful, and it's not, but there's very few people who would say this: at the end of my life, if I get so lucky as to be on my deathbed, if that's how I go, and I get to reflect on my life, if I'm lucky enough to be able to reflect, I find it hard to imagine there's someone who's going to sit there and go, God, I can't believe I didn't hit my quota in the July quarter, right? And there's no one who's going to say, I think I saw too many of my kids' soccer games, right?
It's true. Yeah.
No one's going to say that. So if you can calm yourself for a moment and be with the fear of failing, like I have this conversation at 5:00 I'm not looking forward to. I have that's there. But I can detach from the emotion of it for enough time to just actually get present. I'm not resisting. I'm not pretending it's not there. You ask me how I'm doing. I'm not like, it's all good, which is the sort of the typical toxic positivity answer. Like, I'm not going to tell you any of that. No, there's things that I'm dealing with. But then it allows me to, if I can be with that, then I can sort of create, okay, well, what's the future I'm really committed to? Simon Sinek calls it your big why. There's lots of different people that talk about it, but it's, what's the meta? You ever hear the story of the stonecutters? Okay, so there's a guy walking down a country road, and he sees some guy, and he's frantic, and he's upset, and he's angry, and he's got a chisel in one hand and a hammer in another, and he's sweating, and he's just banging this rock. And the guy who's walking says, hey, man, what are you doing? And the guy says, idiot, what does it look like I'm doing? I'm chipping stone. Sorry, man, didn't mean to bother you. Sorry. Keeps walking, and now there's another guy, same chisel, same hammer, but he's got a pressed shirt and suspenders, and he's moving around the stone methodically. And the guy says, what are you doing? And he says, well, I am a stonemason, and I am doing my job. This is what I do for a living, is I carve stone. He says, thank you very much. I appreciate you telling me. And he walks a little further. Now he sees another guy, and this guy has light in his eyes, Tobias. He's like, you ever see anyone flowing? Mm-hmm. Same chisel, same hammer, but he's flowing around this. And the guy says, so what are you doing? And the guy says, I'm building a cathedral. It's the same action, same chisel, same stone, same hammer. But what are you building? So on one hand, you could be chipping stone, getting sales, making your quota, doing your thing, sign up the clients. They walk through the door. I got to get them to sign. Or you're building a cathedral. You're building something that matters to you, that's fulfilling to you, that is important. And that's the opportunity you're giving yourself when you can separate yourself from the throes of your mind's need for survival.
Nice. Yeah. That's a great story in there too. And just the way that you put yourself in that situation. And even when you think about how you respond to people too, because a lot of it carries over if you have a negative outcome of what you're doing too, and you're always portraying that. Whether you have a positive outcome, sometimes you're going to have more of a positive mindset, and you're going to just feed the type of things to you back, obviously, like the law of attraction there. But
100%.
A lot of people hear the word meditation and immediately they think like, I don't have time. I'm not good at sitting still. My brain is too busy. That's not really my thing. But what do you say to the person who thinks meditation is either too soft, too weird, or impractical for someone trying to actually grow a business?
Good. Well, look, you get to have whatever limitations you argue for. If you're too busy, you're going to argue for that. And if you're going to argue that your mind is too active, you get to have both a too busy life and a too active mind. And congratulations, you get to keep that limitation. good work, right? The Buddhists say everyone should meditate for 20 minutes a day unless they don't have time. And then they should meditate for an hour because that's the life that they get to have. So you could say it's too soft, but then you'd have to deal with, okay, well, why does Phil Jackson have the number of rings he has? And why does his protege, Steve Kerr, have the same number of rings?
Yeah.
Right? How come arguably Michael Jordan, Steph Curry, these are not slouches in that domain, okay? These are people who know 85%. So you know who Tim Ferriss is, 4-Hour Workweek dude, right? Did a book called Tools of Titans, interviewed the world's top performers, billionaires, top performing athletes, top performing artists, 80% of them. The most common practice they all had in common, he wanted to find out what the habits they all had, right? 80% have a mindfulness practice. So, bro, you want to zig while they're zagging? Knock yourself out. But if the billionaires have an 80% rate of doing mindfulness meditation, you might want to take your view. Just like the person that says, I don't have time to work out, gets to live the life of someone who doesn't have time to work out. We're talking 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes. And you think meditation is, and I'm telling you, meditation could look like for you, I put my phone down, I turn off all the sounds, I sit on my deck, and I have my morning coffee or my morning pre-workout, whatever. And I notice the weight of the cup in my hand. And I notice the sound of the trees. And I notice the way the light comes through the window. And for 10 minutes, I do nothing but notice what it feels like to drink this. And every time my mind goes down a road of finishing an argument with that idiot on the internet, I come back to the weight and the temperature of the cup in my hand.
That's good.
You can do anything mindfully. Now, it works to get a coach because, hey, I'm talking to if they don't hire you, then they walk into the gym and they're using the lat pull down as a leg press, whatever, they're doing it wrong, right? They're just going to do it the way they naturally do it, which is the problem with learning how to meditate on the apps. They can get it. You can sort of hopefully maybe figure it out, but not really. And you're never going to go beyond where your identity, your ego tells you can go. You're constantly going to be judging and evaluating your own performance. So in the beginning, it works to have a coach, have someone that can show you how to do it one-on-one. And I'm preaching to the choir on this one, I would think. So if you're committed that it's too soft and you don't have time and your mind is too active, then you get to live a life of someone who's too busy, who needs things to be hard, who has a feral dog running the show. Knock yourself out. Right on, man. And it's not better or worse. It's just you get to have that.
Yeah. And a lot of people too think meditation will make them less driven, but I think in reality, it actually makes you more effective because you're no longer operating from chaos. And you shared something, you shared something that really jumped out at me. When you trained your real estate team in mindful meditation, your sales increased by 160%. That's wow. Right? So tell us about that. How did that come about?
Well, here's how all I did was teach them how to meditate. No scripts, no extra calling, no all the other stuff that sales training wants to do. So it's like this. You ever see one of these?
I have, yeah.
Right? Chinese finger
traps, yeah.
Right. So normally, what's the way to get out? How do we try to get out?
Pull.
So we've got salespeople that are forcing. Right? This is the way you run your life. This is the driven force is, 4 a.m. ice bath. I'm going to be the Lamborghini leaning and no one's going to touch me until you got, oh, wait a minute. If I just relax, it comes right out. Meditation is training your brain to go with the flow of life.
Yeah.
You are no longer trying to swim upstream. You go with the flow of life. You just relax and not relax like someone. You know how shitty it is when someone tells you to relax? It doesn't work. It's not someone's telling you to relax. You just naturally stop resisting the way life is. Because that's what meditation is. You stop resisting the feral dog in your head, all those active thoughts. You just start noticing them. You're like, look at that. It's just a waterfall. It's just never going to end. And I'm going to step behind it. And you come right out. And in that space, the agents could hear people when they were at work. They weren't thinking about home. When they were with their family, they were with their family. So they weren't thinking about their family when they were at work. And they were able to give them the quality of life that they wanted. They were happier. They were more grounded. And they didn't need any kind of validation from the client. They stopped. 86% increase in agent retention. They stopped quitting. So it was just across the board, those mugs that say mindset matters, all that stuff, it's true. It's just how do you get it? And you get it by lifting those weights, watching your breath, meditating, but not meditating. Here's the problem with one of the things is, so meditation, mindfulness, you could say started with the Buddha. it's all worthwhile. It's not a religious conversation, but just that's the big thing. And Buddha, see, we think meditation is about chilling out, but Buddha means the awakened one. That means to wake up. Meditation isn't chilling out as much as it is waking up.
Yeah.
Waking up to what? Waking up to, what do my feet feel like on the floor right now? What does this coffee really smell like? What's happening here in this moment? In the present. And when people are present, when salespeople are present, I swear to you, you can remember almost every conversation you've ever had with a salesperson who left you with, they were present and there for you.
Yeah.
Because it happens so infrequently.
Do you think most people lose sales because of strategy or because they're bringing fear and tension and neediness and internal noise into the conversation?
I think the neediness and the noise and all that has them pick the wrong strategy. And I think they're trying to go about it strategically. It's not that strategy doesn't matter. It's not that someone says they don't have the money and you don't want to have a conversation to explore that and overcome that. It's not that that's not important. It's just when you're present, the answer to I don't have the money or I don't have the time is, okay, well, tell me about that. What were the goals that you wanted to have if you had the time? Or just, I'm curious how you were going to get to where you wanted to go if you're living like you don't have the time. Tell me about that. Tell me what that's like for you. Just get curious with people. Wonder, curiosity are all available in this world of being present that just aren't available when you're not.
Yeah.
What it sounds like strategically is Ford. Ford, friends, whatever, the fake sort of, how you doing? Where are you going? When you step up to a rental car counter, they all have the same questions for you, right? Where are you going? What are you doing here? How you doing? The canned sort of shit that we got to get out of the way till I tell you the price. Yeah, no. And that's bullshit. It's not a real conversation.
Yeah.
But when it's a real conversation, when you sense that person really cares about you, they close way more.
Yeah.
Let go of the need to close and you will close way more.
Yeah. That's so true. And I think this is what makes this conversation even bigger, because when a coach learns these tools, it doesn't just help them. It also helps every single person that they serve, because now they're not only helping clients transform physically, they're helping them develop more agency, like mentally too. So what opportunity do you think fitness coaches are missing when they only focus on the body and not on?
Well, like thing that my coach said to me, have me notice where I was giving up, or I was telling myself I was done before my body really was at failure. Just even that one change, where I shifted my attention from what I could notice. Oh yeah, my brain is telling me I'm done way before my body is. Once I press through that little space, my preferred workout is CrossFit, and it's reliable. Well, actually, it's actually become really much better, but it has been reliable. I've been doing it for like 5 years, and halfway through about between a third and a halfway through the workout, I began to think, okay, this is not good. I am not finishing this. This is not good. My body is not going to do this. And now I've heard that thought enough that it's like, okay, I know right on the other side of that, 2 more reps or whatever it is, another 2 minutes down the road, I'm going to be in a whole different space. But I think the thought comes up and people believe everything they think. Okay, well, let's stop that. Okay.
And I also want to talk about your book too, Aaron, because How to Live a Grateful Life in an Effed Up World. First off, amazing title, because it feels honest, it feels real, and it feels like something that a lot of people actually need right now. So what inspired you to write this book in the first place?
Well, it's actually the manual for the live meditation trainings I've been teaching for about 2 years. That's the program I put my team through that increased their sales. I put other salespeople through and like that. It's really basically a 9-week mindfulness training. You started talking about the law of attraction. So if we can get woo-woo for anyone who's down with that. Is that a portion of your audience is down with law of attraction? We don't know.
I'm sure. Yeah, there's definitely going to be.
So I was really interested in gratitude as a vibration, as like a way of, like a place to come from in life, like just a basic premise of when you're grateful, the universe will bring you more things to be grateful for. Just sort of basic one-on-one, like that, right? If you're not into law of attraction, don't worry about it. This isn't for you. Okay. But if you are, that makes sense. Okay. And I was like, well, how do I get to gratitude? And the number one thing to get to gratitude are these gratitude journals. And I couldn't get it. I was like, how is writing my dog, my car, my wife 5 times, 10 times somehow supposed to leave me grateful? Mostly it just leaves me irritated, or it's like putting icing on dog shit, pretending it tastes like cake. It doesn't have me deal with what's really happening. I was like, okay, well, what's my access to gratitude if it's not just faking it till you make it? right? What's my real access to it? And in a real committed set of personal discovery, like a commitment to discover this for myself over the course of a year or so, probably a little bit more, I finally got that there are 5 steps to it, to getting to gratitude. And they start with awareness, allowance, acceptance, appreciation, and then attitude. So I really got for myself, there is a framework here that if I follow it, I leave myself in gratitude, in the experience of gratitude fairly reliably. And one of them is awareness, allowance, and acceptance, which is, like I said in the beginning, when you said, how's it going? I was like, okay, well, I got this thing at 5. I'm just aware of it. I'm allowing it, right? And I'm working on accepting that this is how it's going to be. And I have something to say about it. I'm not pretending it's not there. I'm not pretending it's all good. I'm able to hold the stuff that doesn't work. There's a quote that I found in my research and in developing the book from a psychoanalyst named Francis Weller. And he says that it's the work of the mature adult to hold gratitude in one hand and grief in the other, and to be stretched large by them. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's the call there, is that you don't have to wait until it all works out to feel grateful.
Yeah.
That you just need a powerful way to hold what's effed up. And that's what the training leaves people with, is that someone says no to you, a conversation doesn't go the way you want. You have space now to hold it without it collapsing everything else that you've built.
Good stuff. So go get the book and check it out.
Yeah, it's not out yet, but it will be this quarter.
Coming soon to Amazon. Yes. And Aaron, let's finish this with a little rapid fire. It's just quick little questions. So I'll ask you questions just in one quick sentence. If you can give me first thing that comes to mind. Number 1 is, what's a word that describes the old version of you?
Worried.
What's one word that describes the new version of you?
Powerful.
Right.
Potent.
What's a daily habit that keeps you grounded?
Meditation.
What's one thing that fitness entrepreneurs need less of?
Angry guy hype. You know what I mean? Like the 5 a.m. ice bath kind of, edgy.
Okay. What's one thing they need more of?
Presence.
What's a belief that you had to unlearn in order to find more peace?
That stress is
Okay. And then what's the best piece of advice for the coach who looks successful on the outside, but they actually feel pretty anxious on the inside?
Find someone that'll teach you how to meditate. Someone who'll teach you mindfulness.
Or get your book.
For free, so they can be my cohort too.
Yeah. What does a grateful life mean to you?
It means celebrating every step of the journey as if it were the complete journey, and then moving on to the next step. Being completely satisfied and eager for more.
What's one book everybody should read besides your own book?
Well, my go-to is always Think and Grow Rich.
Yep. And finally, where can people connect with you and learn more?
AaronHendon.com.
That sounds good. Aaron, this was such a great conversation. And I think this episode is going to hit home for a lot of coaches, because so many people in the fitness space understand that physical discipline, but they've never been shown how to create that same level of intentionality with their mind. And the truth is, building a stronger business without building a stronger inner world is a dangerous game. And so I really appreciate you coming in, sharing your story, your perspective, and practical tools that everybody can use. And for everyone listening, if this episode hit home for you, make sure you share it out. You tag us and you send it to a coach, a trainer, or gym owner who needs this message, or you can message Aaron directly himself. And Aaron, thanks again for being here, brother.
Tobias, thank you so much. And thank you all for listening and for the difference you make in people's well-being. I love my coach, so appreciate you all.
Thanks for tuning in to the Fit Biz Accelerator. If you found value in today's episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a tip or strategy to grow your online fitness business. And if you're ready to fast track your success, don't forget to check out tntfitprocoaching.com. Until next time, stay consistent, stay focused, and keep crushing it.